to distinguish what is true and what is not. Because when we are talking about me, everyone is perceiving their own definition in their heads, right? According to their background. When I asked you about the meaning, you girls, there were 3 girls here, Rojan, Laura, and Nastya, and speak louder. Is it loud enough now? Sorry, I've just lost my previous headphones, and I'm using the old ones. Probably they are poor with their microphone, with this microphone. Sorry. Okay, so meaning is something very unknown for us, to be honest. And as many linguists claim that there is something elusive or mysterious about meaning. So, and this very mysterious thing should not embarrass us, yeah. And we should not be embarrassed by difficulty of understanding and defining exactly what we mean by time, by number, by life, by some philosophical concepts of existence, yeah. So we shouldn't be embarrassed of how difficult it is sometimes for us to explain others, to define to others such concepts, yeah, because we have different concepts in our heads, right? So, right. And probably if you have been to the international, you have participated in international communications, international societies, you may probably notice that everything are talking about to others, other cultures, is not always comprehended correct way. So it means that the people from other cultures, from other language, speaking other language, they may not understand you properly. Yeah, they may have some difficulties to understand you. They may be ask for clarification of what you're saying. Yeah, have you ever faced such problems when talking or dealing with people, other cultures?
Yes, so, but I actually read the article where it was written that actually every language has its own degree of the context, and it actually depends on how high or how low the context of their language. For instance, like the Chinese language has high context degree, and that's why it's very important to kind of explain them things into details and etc. So I actually read the article about it.
Right, absolutely. So it's a cultural thing, absolutely. Right, so it's the same with the meaning, same with everything that we are talking about now. Yeah. So it's not always, even if you talk to, okay, imagine a person from a countryside of a South Kazakhstan, for instance, from, okay, I'm not going to specify the place, but imagine a person from a very, very deep countryside of Turkestan Oblast is talking to a person from the city in the North Kazakhstan. Yeah. And they may be talking in the same language. They may be in Kazakh, but because of the different background, different perception of the world, they have some misunderstandings, the clashes. Yeah. So the same thing, but as Halliday has mentioned in his book, it's still meaning is a social phenomenon. And when we're talking to each other, when we're talking to other people, when we are communicating, we are like shaping the meaning of words. We are giving the meaning, or um, providing words with some kind of meaning. Yeah. I'm not, I don't think that the word, for instance, gul, yeah, in Kazakh, has got that meaning just because one person told, directed to that very thing to the lower and said, this is gul, yeah. So probably people interacted, people discussed it and tried to name those things. They were naming and providing meaning to them by interaction, by some kind of engagement into the discussions. And as we know, the discussions, they are social phenomenon. Yeah, there cannot be a lot of discourse. There is only one individual who is participating in the discourse. Yeah. Okie good. Right. Yeah. And we are going to talk about dictionaries, yeah, in the course of lexicology. And I would like to notice that many linguists actually think that the dictionary of any kind of language, and especially a dictionary of English, they think that they are showing the vocabulary of English. Yeah. But as we know, the dictionaries are not showing the whole vocabulary of English. Dictionaries cannot not compile all the words that we are using in society, right? So, guys, let us provide the definition of dictionary. What is dictionary in your opinion? What is dictionary? Can dictionary be the equivalent to the vocabulary? Talk, no.
Maybe can I answer? For example, can you hear me?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Yeah. For example, dictionary is more like official list of the uh, lexic lexis of the language. For example, the words are collected to this reserve time by time, but as you said, it couldn't contain all the vocabulary because, for example, maybe I guess some slangs or that kind of words could not be included in dictionary.
Somehow, yeah. So you talked about the dictionaries in terms of stylistics. So you think that dictionaries are quite formal, right? As I understood. However, there are different types of dictionaries. As if you remember, guys, the urban dictionaries, dictionary.com, yeah, with all the slangs. Dictionaries can be of a different type, yeah. List of words that is translated into other languages with definitions. It's not only about the other language. It's a probably now you're talking about. Sorry, you must be talking about the Russian to English, Russian to Kazakh, English to other languages dictionaries. But we are talking about like normal dictionaries, like for instance, Dictionary of English Language, yeah, where the meanings, where the definitions are given in the single language. So, sorry, Marshan, I was a bit confused. So Marshan's opinion is quite nice. Yeah, it's quite on the surface. it's not too deep yet. It is true that dictionaries are perceived by Soviet people as something sophisticated, something formal, something intellectual. However, dictionaries are not about only those sophisticated things. Dictionaries can also be about everyday language. It can also be about idiomatic expressions, especially about slangs in English and Russian languages. We have different vocabularies of jargons, of slangs. We have many they published articles, research articles on the development of slangs, development of vulgar language as well. And this is quite different. Yep, we have different dictionaries, but what is dictionary usually? And probably you have never heard about the dictionary of Kazakh language that were written in 17th, 16th centuries, right? The Kazakh dictionaries became popular only to Kazakhstani population became uh, let's say, or literate when after they um, started to educate their offspring, right? The Kazakhs are um, quite started quite late that very well developed literacy. So everything in our culture was previously um, mainly oral. Everything was sent, not sent. Oh my God. Um, the novels, right? All the literary pieces, they were not written much, if you remember, or probably we haven't yet found the written pieces of those masterpieces. However, as we remember, everything used to be oral in Kazakh history, so oral folklore. But it is different with the English language because English language, the English society is one of the societies with well-developed literacy. It has a very sophisticated tradition of publishing, of using dictionaries, yeah, using reference books. And because of that very tradition of writing everything down, of publishing everything, there is a there was developed a dangerous concept that language is equated with some written account of the language. But actually, we cannot say that dictionary of English equals to vocabulary of English. No, they are absolutely two different things. Dictionary is just a written account, but it's not always possible to write down everything that is being used in the society. Yeah, I bet that you guys, when you're talking to each other, you use some kind of words that only you and your friends do understand. Do you have such words between you guys, between yourselves, that you are using in order to, let's say, some kind of a secret language? Yeah, you have. If you remember one of the episodes from the Russian cartoons, Смешарики, Krosh and Yojik, yeah, remember Krosh and Yojik? They were talking in their sign language. That was quite like no sign, secret language. No one understood them, and there was a confusion between dwellers of that very Shariki land. That was quite interesting one. So the same thing, um, linguists or people who are compiling dictionaries, they cannot trace all the words that are being used in the society. So that's the reason we cannot say that the dictionary of English is the equivalent to the vocabulary of English. So vocabulary of English can be even broader than the dictionary of English. So when people say there are blah 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 words in English or there are blah 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 words in Kazakh, they are talking about it to according to the statistics of dictionaries, but they're not talking about it according to the monitored, traced usage of all words. Yeah, you can't say it for sure. That is what you should. This is one of the reasons why we say that meaning in words are social. They are not something, they are not cognitive. And they are cognitive things, but they cannot be written. It's not always about literacy. Yeah. Okay. So why language exists? So actually this is the last thing which exists, but it is in use among people who know the language. This is what Halliday told in his book. If you just please read Halliday in Yallop's book on lexicology, short introduction, the one that I attached to the Moodle. In chapters 2.2 to 2.4 and 2.5, you will find very interesting information on that very social dilemma. Okay, so as I have mentioned before, meaning is quite often dependent on discourse, quite dependent on the dialects between the people who are talking, people who are using the language. So let's just look at one of the words, one of the examples that show that meaning can be changing according to the discourse, according to the social development. So let's talk about the word stakeholder. So before 1980s, the word stakeholder used to mean something like the person who holds the stakes in a bet. So someone who is having the person who is having the stakes in a bet. You know what is bet, right, guys? Stakes in the bet. It's not bed, but bet. Do you know the betting companies? What is a betting company?
It's like 1xbet, right? Something like that.
So the stake. What about stake? What about it? Usually
Money.
it's something
Like for football match, for example, stake.
I can't hear you, Aisana, but okay, anyways. So before 1980s, stakeholder used to have that very meaning of the person who used to put the stakes on a bet, who was betting and who was, sorry, making some bets and giving some deposits. Okay, stake is for football match. Yeah, stake for the football match. So stake is, if I'm not mistaken, is translated as stavka. Yeah. You know what is stavka? Right, good. Stavka na выигрыши. If you watch the TV series on Russian sites, you will probably hear these words quite often with I didn't expect and all that advertisements. Yeah, one expert, yay, especially probably men, guys who are watching football or tennis or whatever sport type. You may know all those terms, however, I do not know. So the word stakeholder actually used to refer to a person who make those stakes. То есть человек, который делал ставки. I don't know how it is called in Russian, to be honest. However, by the end of 80s, yeah, the world started using that very word in the sense of commercial sense. Yeah, it started to be used in a commercial sense. Especially Australian newspapers started that very wave, and they started reference to the best interest of the company, taking account to the stakeholders, right? So nowadays, the word stakeholders has absolutely different. So, and in different contexts, word stakeholder may have different. For instance, what the university is talking about accountability and information provision to external stakeholders, it means that they are talking about the people who are, say, managing things, managing the university problems. Scientists, stakeholders, they are all people. Stakeholders are people who are having some kind of positions in that very institution. Has different context in different situations. All right, let's talk about the word gender. So nowadays, gender has a very broad meaning, right? What do you understand when you hear the word gender? Male, female, what else? Yeah. Social gender. Oh, social gender. Good, thank you very much, Laura. However, in 20th century, the word gender was not referring to society. It was not referring to the meaning that is being used nowadays. So what it was meaning in that very sense. So mainly it was this has more biological meaning. So gender used to refer to masculinity, to femininity, yeah. It used to refer to masculinity and femininity mainly in linguistic field or in the field of biology. So it wasn't having the connotation, the political connotation or social connotation as it has today. Yeah. But why it started to having that very political and social connotation, as we say, gender issues, gender management, what else? Kind of gender balance, right? We have gender, political gender. What else? Gender in education. We have or gender issues in feminism. We all have that new meanings of that very word. But back in times, the gender had only 2 or 3 meanings as the gender in language, in grammar, yeah, and gender in biology. It was the word gender actually in biology was referring to animals and species mainly, not to humans, rarely to humans. Yeah, in that very formal biological, say, meaning, but not in the social meaning. However, we know that there was happening very interesting boom in the midst of 20th centuries, yeah, and the word sex that was actually being used as a as as a word that is defining the gender of people. It was like the thing that was identifying the fact of being male or female. But later on, sex has been used as a shorthand for sexual intercourse, as we know nowadays. Yeah, and that is the reason why the word gender has increasingly appeared in the 1990s as reference not only to grammatical gender in linguistics, but to the social phrases like gender roles, gender balance, gender and sexuality, that stuff, or nowadays it's gender policy, politics of culture and gender. We all hear those words. Um, what else in things? But there is actually, if you just think about these two phrases, like the politics of gender and the politics of sex, you will see the different, absolutely different meaning in those, right? So when you think about, try to, let's say, differentiate them in sense of meaning, you will find out that they have enormous semantic differences, semantic perceptions in your heads. Nowadays, gender actually adopted the previous meaning of the word sex, and the sex adopted the uh, absolutely different meaning, absolutely different connotation. Yeah. This is why we think that meaning is something that is dependent on discord, is dependent on society. What about the word patron? What do you think when you hear the word patron, guys? About it? What do you usually think about it?
Like father, or the one that ahead of something.
Someone who is protecting.
Probably a person who gives any kind of support, like financial, to a person or organization.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like
Sponsor,
sponsor.
protector, head, boss. Right. Yeah. In the very beginning, actually, the word patron comes from Latin language, and it has the meaning of protector or guardian. Yeah. But however, when we look at the 18th, 19th century literature, we see that the word patron, developed absolutely different meaning. Yeah, it has the word patron in 19th century had the meaning of customer or client. Especially, patron became a meaning of customer in an hotel or in a restaurant. But in French language, patron, word patron has come to be used to the sense of a manager. Yeah. Whereas in English, it was a client. Very interesting comparative analysis, right? And in when you go to France, if you ask for patron or le patron, so it means that you're asking for the manager or for the boss, but not the customers. So as you see, actually in the very beginning, the word patron was something about guardian, the protector, or maybe some father, yeah. Nowadays it has absolutely different meaning. Guys, I think to talk about Saussure first the in the next part of our lecture because we have only 2 minutes left. Saussure first, the theories of Saussure first, they are quite wide to be spoken. Okay. See you in 10 minutes then. Right, guys. Hope you're here. Okay, so just close that one. So, very interesting thing that as we are discussing the language as a social phenomenon, one of the first linguists who proposed that very theory is Ferdinand de Saussure. He is the Swiss linguist who used to work French universities. I forgot which one it was. And his theory of language, it denotes that the actually the language is constructed in individuals' brains from the experience that he or she gaining. So it means that Saussure contended that language must be considered as a social phenomenon, that everything, the linguistic patterns, the meanings, the semantic patterns, they are all developing in our heads, in our brains, from the cognitive experience that we are having in our everyday life. And the very interesting thing that de Saussure was one of the linguists, the first linguists, who structured the language. He was the, let's say, father of structuralism in linguistics. And what he structured, actually, he structured system that can be viewed synchronically. Yeah. What is synchronically? Synchronically means that something exists at any particular time, for instance, like at that very moment, and diachronically, as thing changes in the course of time. So he was looking at the language in both systems, synchronic and diachronic. So he was looking at the modern current language as well as the development or changes of the language during history of language itself. Yeah, kind of course of time. This is what he was proposing, and actually we were talking about that very theory, the very first part of our lecture. Oh my God, sorry, I just did not turn on the microphone or what? Sorry, it seems like the microphone was not turned on. Okay, let me just repeat again. So sorry for that, guys. Actually, this is your theory, yeah. It is the theory of language where the Ferdinand de Saussure, the linguist who used to the 19th century, he's a Swiss linguist, and he used to teach in one of the French and Swiss universities, and he was so much passionate about linguistics that he started to study in the European languages. And what he found out, like what he observed, that the linguistic systems in our brains, yeah, is mainly constructed from experience or from social experience. Yeah. So he said that language must be concerned as a social phenomenon, not as a cognitive phenomenon, but mainly social phenomenon. And a very interesting thing that he structured the linguistics, and he's the father of structuralism linguistics. And he wanted to see that structured system in both synchronical way and diachronical way. So what is synchronical way? Synchronical, the word synchronical, it means something that exists at any particular time, like for today, yeah. if we look at the language more than English, it means that we are looking at the synchronical of the language. And if we look, what about diachronical? It is the changes in the course of time. So if we look at the language of English language from 19th to 20th century, and we are investigating that very course of time, it means that it is some kind of a diachronical systematic view on that. Yeah. So this is what we were talking about previously. Yeah. And actually, Halliday's opinion on the meaning, the development of meaning, development of language, are quite close to de Saussure's theory of language. Now let's talk about the first. The first is in. He used to be an English linguist. He was a professor at the University College of London. Yeah, London. Sorry. And he used to be a professor of Oriental and African Studies, if I'm not mistaken. And he's one of the linguists of Great Britain who started looking at the general linguistics. And the interesting thing that the first introduced his contextual theory of meaning, or theory of context of situation. Actually, his theory is quite interesting because he said that utterances occur in real life contexts, and the meaning of those utterances, they derived just as much from the particular situation in which they occurred as from the string of sounds uttered. So quite interesting, right? He proposed that the utterances, they occur from the from the social changes, social events that is happening in our lives. Meaning also is formed during those utterances, during the discourse that we are having with each other. That is very nice. That would be very nice if you guys have a proper look at these two theories. And also, I would like you to have a look at the cognitive linguistics of Noam Chomsky. I'm 100% sure that you were discussing Noam Chomsky's theory at your classes of linguistics, general linguistics, because that is actually a must for you to discuss now Noam Chomsky. He is one of the brightest politicians, brightest, not politicians, but political observers, brightest linguists of the centuries, of two last centuries, of 20th and 21st centuries. Okay, now we are going to look at the nerdy part of our lecture. So it's going to be more of a structured formation now, because these are the lectures based on the Soviet School of Lexicology. Yeah. So we are going to look at the semasiology. So what is semasiology? Semasiology is a branch of linguistics, actually, and it mainly deals with the meaning of words and meaning of word equivalents. What are word equivalents? Word equivalents are synonyms. Yeah. Okay. So we have many types of lexical meaning of words. That would be lovely if now we just have a brief look at those things. So we have main three types of meaning are nominative meaning, syntactically conditioned meaning, phraseologically bound meaning. So when you hear the word nominative meaning, you should always remember that nominative meaning, it is the direct meaning of the word. Ever hear the term nominative meaning, it means direct meaning of the word. It is directly, immediately referring to objects or to extralinguistic reality. Yeah. Nominative meaning has two subgroups or two components, as we call them. First one is denotation. Denotation is the expression of direct meaning, and it comes without any emotive evaluation or any kind of stylistic coloring. Whereas the connotation, yeah, connotation is the supplementary expressive meaning, and it usually presented either by emotive chart or some kind of stylistic reference. Okay, so what is the difference between them? Difference between denotation and connotation. So, for instance, when we say girl, we are making a direct reference to a female being who is probably up to 16 years old, right? It's like the direct objective meaning, nominative meaning. However, connotation. Connotation is mainly about emotions, and for instance, the word girly. When you hear the word girly, you may probably hear some kind of a positive connotation or cute connotation. Yeah, it is something like probably it comes to your mind that, oh, this girly or this girly is cute and blah blah, or doggy instead of dog. We need to say doggy to our own dogs or catty to our own cats. It has such words, such meaning of words. They have some kind of emotion under them, or some kind of stylistic references under them. Okay. So for the stylistic reference, what we mean under stylistic reference. For instance, the word father, it's quite neutral, right? We do use the word father in the ways. However, the word parent is quite a bookish, has some kind of a bookish meaning. Or the word dad, occasion, we use it in everyday life. This kind of stylistic references, if there are some kind of stylistic references, this means that it comes to the connotation and nominative meaning. What about syntactically conditioned meaning? Syntactically conditioned meanings, they are manifesting, let's say manifesting themselves in collocations, or how we call them, collocations, yeah, phrases. For instance, the phrasal verbs as to look, to look for, to look after. These are the syntactically conditioned meanings. Okay, types of meaning, sorry. And phraseologically bound meanings, we have that very type of meaning, and this type of meaning is one of the challenging ones for some. So phraseologically bound meaning, that means something idiomatic, and usually that very meaning manifests manifests itself only in certain phraseological units. Yeah? For instance, buy something for song, to be on the safe side, to cut a long story short. These are all idioms, as we call them, phrasal, phrase, phraseologisms. Yeah, these are the like three main types of them. Okay, actually, meaning may have two types. Yeah, and we have semantic structures of words as well. So firstly, let's talk about the semantic structures of words. So according to according to the semantic structure of words, we are dividing the meaning to monosemy, to semantic diffusion, and polysemy. The polysemy is one of the most interesting things that we are going to look at. So what is monosemy? It is monosemy is the existence within one word of only one meaning, when the one word has only one meaning. So for instance, the word chemistry, molecule, satellite, yeah, they are all, or Sputnik, and they are all words that have only one meaning. And monosemantic words are quite rare. You can't see them, can't find them very, can't face them very often. They're comparatively few in the number of, in their number. Yeah. Mainly monosemantic words with the words with monosemy, in monosemy words, let's say, they are mainly scientific terms. They are not having general terms. What about semantic diffusion? Oh wow, semantic diffusion is mainly observed words. It's a very, very wide conceptual volume. For instance, the word stuff or thing, they have meaning. They have such words, they can name large number of objects, right? They have very wide spectrum of meaning. When we say thing, the word thing may denote any object or any thought or anything. Like this is a quite a nice thing, yeah, when we're talking about some beautiful physical things, or for instance, when rappers especially are talking about their thoughts, their ideas, they refer to them as this stuff is so bright, this stuff is very smart, and etc. etc. Whereas polysemy is when within one word there are existing several meanings, or as we call them, when one word has many, many meanings. For instance, the word tape, or the word take, or the word book. Yeah, to book or book, we have several meanings in that very sense. They can be both the book, physical book that we are reading, or to book as book any kind of a any kind of an order, especially when we are booking the rooms at hotels, or booking the seats at the restaurants, or booking the seats for the concert. These are all about polysemy, when one word has a variety of meaning. Of course, it is the semantic diffusion and polysemy are quite different. Yeah, you should understand that in terms of semantic diffusion is when the word has a wide conceptual volume. But polysemy is when one word has several meanings. Because the word thing, you can refer to anything. But the word polysemy, the word book or table has several meanings but they are still kind of restricted, let's say. Yeah. Okay. Right. Any questions regarding the differences between semantic diffusion and polysemy, guys? No.
Can you please repeat with the examples about the semantic diffusion and polysemy? It was quite difficult to understand.
Okay. Right. So semantic diffusion is mainly observed in words with a very wide conceptual volume. It's when one word can name definitely large number of objects. So when the one word can name anything, it may be referred to anything. Like, let's say we have two things in my hands, yeah, mask and keys. Yeah, both of them, I can be referring things, stuff. Or for instance, when the rappers, or when actually it's not only rappers using that, but just in my head rappers appeared. Mainly in slang, when when musicians are writing any piece of music, even the music can be called as stuff or thing. That thing is very beautiful, beautifully written, or that stuff is so crazy, yeah, so insane, yeah. Even the books, even the ideas can be heard as a stuff or thing. So this is about it. Whereas the polysemy is when one word has several meanings, and those meanings are um, quite concrete. We know them, and you can't say word. We can't use the word book to keys. Yeah, we know that this is a key. Keys. These are the keys, and but still we can use semantic diffusion. We can say that it is a thing, we can say that it is a stuff, but we can say that it is a book, because book, the word book itself has restricted meaning, yeah? And meanings that are given to it. But still, the word book itself has two and more meanings. That is why it is called polysemy. Hope you understood. Any questions? Okay, there was a question in the chat. Rosaldo was asking in which book we can read this information, Holiday in Yellow. That very information about the meaning, types of meanings, cannot be found in the books of Holiday in Yellow, but you can find it in the works of Professor, Academic Vinogradov. Do you mean like synonym and polysemy? She will mention the reference in the end of the here. I don't really understand the question, to be honest. What do you mean, like synonym? Ah, right, you mean that very well. Not really, it's not like synonyms, but like homonyms. Yeah, when we have two identical words like book to book, but they have different meanings. So polysemantic words, they are homonyms usually. Okay, so let's just have a type of the meaning direct meaning and secondary meaning? Well, the direct meaning is the meaning of, like, actually, I think you know it quite well, about the direct meaning, when the meaning is quite direct, yeah. Secondary meaning is when it has some kind of abstract meaning. So direct meaning is when you are referring to when you are referring to the word in its very initial meaning, like the wall. The world. We all know that the wall is a direct meaning of the word wall, right? I can't really explain it. Yeah. Whereas the secondary meaning, in terms of the secondary meaning, it may have that very different meaning. For instance, the walls of the heart. We know that our heart has some kind of walls, but we know that that walls of the heart is absolutely different that the walls that we have in our walls of our house, right? They are extremely different. And you probably know about figurative meaning. I'm not going to stop on it because we have been only 20 minutes left and we have so much to talk about it. So that would be lovely if you do your own research to meaning. I'm 100% sure that you understand it from your school, understand that the difference between direct meaning and secondary. Like Kazakh auspal magna, auspалы және нишын мағына, how it's called.
тура мағына.
Тура мағына, yeah, absolute тура auspal magna, same thing. Or in Russian, if I'm not mistaken, it is переносный смысл, right?
Прямой и
Direct
переносный.
meaning,
Yeah.
переносный, right? Good. So now we are going to have a look at the transference. Let's say it is the term is very let's say it's not too much important, but transference is very much important in terms of studying the stylistic devices, studying rhetorical devices. So actually, what is transference? Transference is the process of the development of new meaning. Yeah. This is the called transference, the process of transference. So we have different types of transference. Yeah. The first one is similarity or transference based on resemblance. So what it is similarity? It is the type of transference also usually referred as linguistic metaphor. Many scholars call that linguistic metaphor. So how this similarity or resemblance happening? It is when a new meaning, yeah, appears as a result of associating two objects. And those two objects are usually have that outward similarity. Yeah. For instance, let's take that very example. For instance, the neck of a bottle. Yeah. So the two words, they were put into one phrase just because of they are somehow outward similarity, because we have a bottle, right? and there is a kind of a neck, and people use that very word neck just because it is quite similar to the neck of humans, right? Our neck. So this is how the similarity comes. This actually can be the word, the phrase, neck of the bottle can be considered as a metaphor as well, simile or metaphor, depending on the situation. Or for instance, let's say, what else? What kind of interesting thing? Oh, right. We have the phrase to catch an idea. Yeah, to catch an idea. It's a very interesting phrase, and it's kind of an idiomatic phrase. It's a kind of a metaphorical phrase, and in reality, you can't really catch the idea with your physical hands, right? It is quite similar to when you are catching any kind of physical thing with your hand. Yeah, for instance, when you are catching a mosquito flying, or flies, when you are catching flies, right? You are catching idea. When the idea is flying in your head, you're just catching, you're grabbing it with your hands as you are catching any kind of a insect. So this is the kind of a similarity. This is the transference type of a transference based on resemblance. Okay, and we have another type of transference that is based on contiguity, and in that very type of transference, we may refer the metonymy and synecdoche. You may probably know what is metonymy and synecdoche. Anyone who know what is metonymy so far? What is metonymy, guys, if you know? Okay, so actually both metonymy and synecdoche are quite similar. Yeah, they are quite similar, but oh, sorry, but they have that simple um, difference between them. So these are both figures of speech, and synecdoche is usually referred to a situation when a part of something is used to refer to the full phrase. For instance, all hands on deck. Yeah. So hands usually refer here to people. So here, a part of something is referred to the whole phrase. Like, I can't really explain it in English. It's quite challenging because really I just learned all those rhetorical devices in my classes of Russian. But anyways, okay, I'm trying. For instance, one more thing. Let me see. Let me think. What kind of synecdoche do we have? Synecdoche. Anyone who can find any examples of synecdoche in the
Something like,
Google, guys?
I feel like my new wheels, right? In this case, like my wheels, we mean like the car.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the wheel. The wheels is a car. Great. Yeah. Oh wow, that's very smart. That's very interesting example, by the way. Yeah. Right. Or mm, or for instance, I remember a very beautiful example. To earn one's bread. Yeah. And you do understand that bread here refers to money. So this is a synecdoche. and the bread actually is a part of money, right? Because we are buying bread for money. Right? And just because it is a part of that, part of earnings, part of salary, bread itself, we are referring, through the word bread, we are referring to earnings, to salary, to what else we have? What, to any kind of earnings, yeah, to things that we are living on, yeah. Usually it's money, okay. And the metonymy, or we call them metonymic epithets. It is the vice versa. It's when the certain things or certain features or properties of the whole thing are ascribed, sorry, to the some kind of a little part. Yeah. For instance, threatening eyes. Yeah. When we are talking, when we are saying the phrase threatening eyes, we mean not eyes, but the person itself, right? The person who has that threatening eyes. Yeah. But just because, let's say, I think it's not that metonymy, but it's synecdoche again. Wow, that is very challenging because myself, I always lose the track of differences between metonymy and synecdoche. So actually, the thing in here, so I can provide you with the example for metonymy because I think I'm a bit now confused with them. But the main thing that I know about them, that synecdoche is when you name a part, of any kind of thing when you are referring it to the whole, yeah. Whereas the metonymy or metonymic epithet, it's when you are getting some kind of a certain property of the whole and you ascribe it to the any kind of a part of it. So it's a vice versa. In synecdoche, you take one little thing and you, by one little thing, you refer to the little thing. But in metonymy, big little thing or that very big little thing refers to the very little part of things. Yeah. Like White House represent president. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, thank you very much. Khadija, yeah, Khadija, it was. Yeah, that is absolutely metonymy, all about metonymy. Right, and we have two more beautiful terms as generalization and specialization, or generalization is known as broadening. Yeah. So what is it? So sometimes the process of transference may result in considerable change in the range of meaning. And for instance, here the verb to arrive, it's a borrowed word from French. In English, it began its life like by narrow meaning as to come to shore, to come to land, yeah, arrive. But in modern English, it has very broad sense. The meaning expanded greatly. So back then, yeah, when the word came from French, it used to be translated as to come to shore, to come to land. But nowadays, to arrive means any kind of come. Even if you come to the party, you come to the meeting, you come to the lessons, you come to lectures, seminars, you can use the word arrive. Yeah. But in the very beginning of that borrowed element, in the very beginning, the borrowed element to arrive used to refer only arrival to the land, arrival to the shore. So it means that the meaning of the word became broad. It had undergone the generalization. Okay, what about the specialization? It is or the narrowing, as we call it. It is the opposite of generalization. It is when the word or a phrase passes from a general sphere to some special sphere of communication. Yeah. For instance, the word case. Yeah. Let's say the word case. It has some kind of a general meaning, but when we use that very word in the context of law, it is having narrow meaning. So the word case is having absolutely narrow, different meaning. For instance, in medicine, the word case has narrow meaning. It cannot be used as a general term. It has specific narrow meaning depending on the context that the word is being used in. Yeah. These are the two differences, two different, terms that we are using in terms of meaning. Okay. So these are the semantic changes of meaning, and they are also can be identified as rhetorical or stylistic devices. That would be lovely if you guys have a look at them yourselves. I know that you know what metonymy is now, what is metaphor, what is hyperbole, what is irony, degraded euphemism, yeah, especially euphemism, we all know about it, elevation, tatis. So that would be lovely if you just have a quick research at home yourselves. Yeah, I'm going to talk about them now. We have only 7 minutes left. Yeah, so now homonyms. So what are homonyms? If you just look at that very joke that we have, so the situation happened in the restaurant. So the client or patron, as we call it, is calling for the waiters. He says, "Waiter." The waiter comes and says, "Yes, sir." Client asks, "What is this?" "It's a bean soup, sir." The client says, "Never mind what it has been. I want to know what it is now." So here are bean, like a bean, the beans that we eat in our soups, in our borschts, or whatever you are eating it with, and the word bean as a past participle. They are homonyms. Why we call them homonyms? Because they sound similar, but they are written differently, and they have different meaning. So actually, homonyms have different types. Yeah, there are different types of homonyms, and let us give the definition to the word homonyms. So the homonyms are the words which are identical in sound. They can be identical in spelling, or they can be identical in one of the aspects, like only in sound, or as with bean and bean, only in spelling as book and to book. But or they can be identical in both pronunciation and spelling. Yeah? But always they have different meaning. So for instance, the word bank. Yeah. You know the word bank? Word bank can be an institution where you go to deal with your finances, yeah, and the word bank as a shore. of the shore where the docks are, the docks for ships are oh my god, installed, let's say, yeah. So usually docks are installed, they are in the bus, so bank, the river bank. You probably all of you know what is the second meaning of the word bank, yeah. Okay, so according to the spelling and sound forms, we have homograph, we have perfect homograph, we have homophones. You can just have a quick look at them at home. I'm sure you will find a lot of information on that. And we have lexical homonyms when lexical homonyms, they are, if I'm not mistaken, oh my god, I'm a bit anxious today. I don't know why. I guess I'm having some hormonal problems. Yeah, lexical, they are like, let's make it like that. So we have only 3 minutes. Oh my god. And we will talk about them probably at the seminars, at the second half of the seminars, after you finish your presentation, right? So we have lexical homonyms, we have grammatical homonyms, homoforms, and paranal. Actually, I'm a bit confused and I don't remember what is lexical homonyms. And euphemisms, you may probably know what is euphemism. Euphemisms are the words that people try to avoid spelling, try to avoid selling. For instance, instead of saying he died, we say passed away, yeah? Died is like a euphemism. Sorry, the passed away is euphemism. And the word died is a euphemism, yeah? If you remember, euphemism, euphemismzer, in both in Kazakh and Russian, they are called, it's quite the same. Euphemisms are the words that we use instead of those rude words. For instance, we don't say, instead of saying toilet, yeah, we say ladies' room or loo, or gentleman's room, or WC. Yeah, we don't say toilet mainly. So antonyms also, there are many type antonyms. I know that you know what are antonyms. So actually, the antonyms are the words of the same category, but often same categories of parts of speech, of the same part of speech, of same grammatical features, but which have opposite meaning to constructing meaning to each other, like hot and cold, dark and light, good and bad, and etc. etc. So we have different types of antonyms, like we have gradable, complementary, converse. Again, we will be talking about them at the second part of our seminar. Okay, guys, it is quite a time. That would be lovely if we now finish, because I'm having a seminar at 10 minutes and I have to reach that very. Okay, that is actually it. Do not worry that you haven't. Oh, the types of synonyms. Oh my God, we have so much to talk about. So we will be talking about antonyms, synonyms, and homonyms and their types at the second at the second part of our seminars after you present your presentations. Okay, guys. Hopefully you understood everything. Sorry that I could not explain everything in one lecture. Have a lovely day and see some of you the seminars today, and in the following days I will be working with others of yours. Okie dokie. Sorry.
Thank you, teacher.
For some reasons I'm quite tired. Yeah. Right. Okie dokie. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
Thank you. Goodbye, teacher. You too.